All right, so I'm gonna try to incognito do a video of what not to do. This is a 55 Fleming that's got a new owner on it, and he's trying to learn how to drive this boat. Watch when he comes around here. Let's see if he does it again. He's coming around. We have an incoming tide. So the tide's coming in this direction. It's coming towards me. Here we go with the bow thruster. So bobby bow thruster. He's going to thrust it all the way around. Now he doesn't need to do that because the current will drive that bow around. There's just no need for it. Now he's spun all the way around. Now he's out of control. More bow thruster. By the way, if you can't see, he's using the steering wheel. Wrong. Don't use a steering wheel when you're in tight quarter situations. Now you don't know where the hell the rudder is, and you can't use your sticks. So now he's broadside to the current, still using the bow thruster, still broadside. Now the current is pushing him towards the dock over there. So that's what I would do to get to the dock. He's getting better. Last time was a disaster. Still using the wheel. Look at him hard on the wheel. Maybe it's straight, maybe it's not. I don't know. Now they've got control. They've stemmed the current. Now look at the bow coming over to me. What's that going to do? If the current's coming in this direction towards us, it's going to take the bow, it's going to drive the bow down. It's driving the boat away from the dock from where he's supposed to be. He had it set up perfectly. All he had to do was just walk away from it. Now he's turned the stern to drive the boat back in that direction. Now look, he's now broadside to the current again. He's losing the bow because the current's coming in this direction at 3 knots. Where the hell is he? There he is. I lost him. Now look at the bow come over. Now he's got to try and control that bow as he tries to walk into that slip. And I'm trying to stay away. I don't know who the captain is that's training him, but all of this is the wrong way to do it. Now look how fast he's going now. He's got to speed up to overcome the resistance of the current that's pushing the bow away. He's completely set up 60 degrees in the wrong direction. Now, let's use the bow thruster again. Remember, your bow thruster is going to die at some... There it is, bow thruster. Thrust it over, just thrust it over. Your bow thruster is going to die. I don't care if you got brand new batteries, hydros, whatever. You're going to lose your bow thruster. And when you do, and you don't know how to drive your boat, by using the wind and the current, you're going to own a lot of boats. That was painstakingly too hard and almost dangerous. He was already set up. All he had to do is just walk to the dock. Not great captaining either, as far as I'm concerned, in regards to training, because he's setting him up for failure by letting him use that bow thruster and not understanding the wind and the current. I swear, I promise, I'm doing some videos when I have a minute on docking for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about and show you how easy docking is. All right, cool. So I got our whiteboard out here, and I'm going to kind of talk about what happened in that first clip with that boat that we just saw, and I'm going to try and give you a little bit better perspective of it. I was trying not to be that obtrusive while they were trying to train, but they definitely shouldn't have been doing what they were doing, and any more current, they probably would have been in some pretty big trouble. Matt's behind the camera, and my phone's ringing. No surprise there, right?
Nope.
So, Matt, if you got any questions while I'm doing this, stop and ask, feel free. So here's basically our setup. So we've got a line of boats here. The red boat is our boat that we're going to be operating, or that the boat was operating this morning. And then across the way here were other boats, and then this is our fairway that we can maneuver in. C stands for current. It's in red, and there was some pretty good current coming in this direction. I was on, just for the perspective, like the boat's facing this way, I was on a boat like right here, bow facing. So here's the dock in this direction right here. So I was on the dock that they were working on right about there, looking at them in this direction. So with current coming in this direction right here, and wind was in this case sort of nominal. It was like just a couple miles an hour. So let's just not take into wind for consideration here. So they pulled off the dock, and then they came out here, and then that's about where we started using bobby bow thruster. And the bow thruster started turning around, and then he did a whole 360 in here using the bow thruster, and now the boat is in that direction right there with the current coming in this direction. So Matt, can you grab me a paper towel down there? Because
I was just thinking
it's
about
like
that.
John Madden's chalkboard here. Do you remember John Madden?
He's a little bit before my time, but I do know who John Madden is.
I mean, I barely watch sport. I don't watch any sports. Y'all know that. I don't watch any sports. But when I was a little kid, we used to watch football, and John Madden had his chalkboard, and he would just make a disaster out of the chalkboard. So anyway,
What I know about football is they kick home runs or something like that.
you're as bad as I am. So they came out here. Now this is their slip right here. This is the face pier right here, and they came out. And so the other thing that they were doing is using the steering wheel. So here they started turning the wheel hard over to starboard. That makes a lot of sense because it gets the bow around, and then we start using our bow thruster. Why would we use the two big engines that are underneath us? We want to use the steering wheel and a bow thruster. So turn the wheel that direction, start using the bow thruster, and use it all the way around to you're in this position right here. Then they're going to start trying to come back in this direction. So the boat was angled in that direction right there. That's the position that you actually want it in, because, erase all this, if current is coming down in this direction and the boat is in this direction, Matt, what's the pointy part of the boat?
The bow.
Good. Thank God
Oh,
you
okay.
answered that.
I know what you were going for.
The point. Well, you got it right.
Bow,
The
yeah.
pointy part, right? So the pointy part is like a pie. It creates a wedge. So when we talk about the dynamic forces on a hull, or the hydrodynamic forces, they are all on this side right here. So what is the current going to do that's pushing down in this direction? It's going to push on this wedge right here, and it's going to drive the boat in this direction. Correct? You know this, Matt. So the boat is going to go in this direction. That's all you got to do. Once you do that, the boat's pretty much set up. All you got to do is just a click bump forward or back, just to kind of keep the boat right in the position coming in this direction. And then once the boat comes over here, you straighten the boat out, nice and straight, and then back it straight down into there. They decided, and you saw it in the video, came back in over in this direction. Matt, which way does the boat want to go?
It wants to go back out the way it came.
It wants to go back out the way it came. So what they were trying to do, once they did that, and they went around way too far, is that now with the hydrodynamic forces here pushing the boat back in that direction, how do you think that, Matt, how do you think you're going to get back into that slip right there?
The only way I could imagine doing it is with a lot of wheel and a lot of bow thruster.
Well, no, not bow thruster, but now you got to throttle back on both engines. And assuming we've got the wheel straight, right, because we've just done all kinds of weird stuff with the wheel, spinning the thing around like it's a pizza or something, we now need to figure out how to get the wheel straight, and now we need to overcome the strength of the current and the inertia trying to drive us in this direction. So the only way to do that is to drive the boat back faster to overcome the force right here. So now we're speeding back into this hole right here. That's perfect, right? Yeah, except for you got a dock here, you got a boat here. So if you don't plan that out perfectly, you are now going to own this dock, this boat, and that boat right there. As opposed to, like I said earlier, coming in on this direction here, right? hydrodynamic forces are here, it's going to drive us in this direction. Once we get to where we want to be, we just feather out the angle of our attack, and now we are straight up and down into the current. And now what's that going to do? It's going to drive us straight back into the dock that we want. Did I use any bow thruster? Did I use any wheel? Couple clicks, port or starboard on the transmissions, and we're back into the slip. That's all we have to do. So it's
and
not
at idle.
And at idle, right? 600 RPMs, just a click, a click, a click. You don't need to use a lot of throttle. Shouldn't use really any throttle at all, assuming that you have control of the boat and you've set the boat up properly. So that's part one. I promised them, Matt, maybe tomorrow we'll do part two, and we'll actually take this boat out and we'll get all of our cameras. We've got a new 360 camera. We can get all that set up, and then we'll do some docking, and then I'll teach you how to dock.
Wow.
And I'll record you, even though we've done a little bit of training on it, but let's just call Matt bare bones, brand new, never done a thing. How quickly can we get him to put this boat into this slip? How many times do you think it's going to take you?
I'll say 3 times.
3 times to get it back into the slip.
Yeah.
You think I'm that good of a teacher?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so that will be tomorrow's thing, but it's all about the hydrodynamic forces on the hull of the boat. Now, here's the other thing too, is that if I'm going to come into a slip, I would much prefer coming in on my stern or current up into the stern. Why is that? Because look, I still have a corner here and a corner there, right? So I'm going to use this and this to create my wedge. And once I get into the dock, let's just assume I was backing, so I don't have to redo my arrows here, right? I just have to turn this way just a little bit. Hydrodynamic forces are going to come right here on this side of the hull, and it's going to drive me back in that direction. It's going to drive me back in that direction. I'm going to have my line tied right here. It's going to tie to the dock right there. And then where's the boat going to go?
To the dock.
To the dock, right? Can't do anything else but come to the dock, because I have it tethered here and I have it tethered here, assuming that it was closer here. This acts as a pendulum. With current coming in this direction, the boat can only do one thing, because it's the flat side of the boat and I've got it tethered here. It can only come right to the dock. On the flip side of that, if the current was coming in the other direction, again with that pi, any articulation with a couple of degrees one way or the other past plumb on that, the boat's going to start going in that direction or start going in that direction again. So that's why we always try and back to the current. So we'll try that tomorrow.
Cool.
So, all right. So that's crash course, John Madden's chalkboard, take 1, and tomorrow we'll get you to dock a boat. Much better than what those guys were doing this morning. So, all right, that's it. All right. Probably should check to make sure everything worked. Yeah, that worked. That worked. All right, so we are out on Hatteras. We have a wind that's kind of pushing us on the dock a little bit. We're looking at the flags over there. And we have an outgoing tide, so it's pushing us in this direction here. And we'll go up and I'll show you that you can see.
Are you going to spin it all the way around like you're pretending?
Yeah, come back in. Put my hand out of the way. So as we come around, you can see on this blue boat right here, see the water marks from the AC units? See the water driving in that direction? So that's an indication of what the current is doing. So that's the stuff that I'm looking at. And how fast is it getting dragged in? Is it getting dragged in pretty hard? Is it going slow? Is it just kind of bubbling out and sitting there? And then I'm just moving one at a time. I literally have my other hand in my pocket because I don't need to use the throttle. And you're in one, out the other. So we're just going to spin this around right here, and we're going to that dock right over there. I'm looking at the boat on chip of fools over here. I see the ripples from the water coming in this direction, so I know the wind and the current are both coming against me right here. Oh, this is the reason why I'm all weird. So I've got a major problem right now. So I'm going to stick my bow up in over here. I'm going to come out in this direction. I'm always going to look for daylight, right? So I've got a big boat in here, but I'm driving out. So the problem that we have right now is the wheel is not centered. Remember, we just worked on the steering system, and I forgot about that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and drive the boat straight. Now we got another oncoming boat here, right? No worries about that. I'm parallel to the current coming up in the wind. Look, I can just stop. We have a major problem, right? Because our steering is all off. You can see it moving over to the side here, but I still have complete control over the boat because I'm stemming that current. Charleston is notorious for bad current. So if you guys come down here, look, I'm in one gear forward and we're basically driving straight on this. So now that I've avoided the collision and the calamity, I've got all kinds of time and room here to operate my boat and get out of the position that I'm in with bad rudders. Terrible timing that she's coming in right now, but nonetheless. So if I drop this in neutral, you can see that I start coming over. So I'm going to spin my wheel around. Hi! Now I'm going to drop in gear again. So now I've got way under the boat. So now I've got control. I'm just going to figure out where my steering is. I'm still kind of coming around a little bit. Just drop it forward. Not too much in regards to moving back and forth. You don't want to oversteer. You'll never get there. Look how much straighter the boat's operating.
That's me.
Boats. They make everybody upset. All right. So now this is pretty good. Notice I'm in neutral here. We're tracking straight. I like the way this is set up. So now if I'm off, gonna be off a little bit. It's just because of my throttle's off just a little bit. There's Neverland in front of us. We just brought that over the other day that she just sold. So now I'm in a position here where now the current's going in this direction, and I got to be careful of this sailboat over here. So I got to get around pretty quick. The worst place you want to be is broadside to the current. You're trying to do one at a time. This boat's 38 feet. I can turn the boat within 38 feet. Notice I'm exactly back where I started from. And now we're going to go forward on it. Just a little bit. Okay, so now we're making our approach back into the marina here, back into our slip. And Matt, this is farther forward just a little bit, just so you know. We did do some training on board, and they were really, really hard on my sticks, and actually were so hard on them that they whacked them out of line. So yeah, not good. So when you do it, it's just nothing is stressed. So everything's nice and easy, nice and concise. You can see there's a lot of slop in here. Now when I come in, just like landing a plane, I'm looking at my approach, looking at the wind, looking at the current. Current's right on my face right now. Whoa! Almost lost my hat. Things are getting nautical around here, Matt. Boat's in the way. Remember, just keep your way on. Where are you headed? Okay. Coming up. Now remember, the current's coming in this direction, so I can actually be closer to these boats right up here and not worry about it. I don't want to be farther back from there. That's going to decrease the amount of time that I've got to work. I'm going to literally drive this up in. Now I'm going to start turning it around. Remember, broadside is the worst possible spot to be. Keep it coming around. Look at retriever right there. I want to spin it right in front of retriever here. I don't want to get past retriever too much. Still haven't touched the throttle. Looking globally, 360 degrees around me. Where do I sit? Now from here on, I don't own this half of the boat. I know that there's nothing forward that I can hit, right? The only part of the boat I own is that back corner. Now I gotta drive that back corner in. So starboard reverse gets me around. Remember my wedge, right? I'm gonna go forward, just like that a little bit. I'm creating the wedge. I'm calculating what the wind and what the current is doing and how that's gonna affect the hydrodynamic forces on the back corner of that boat that's gonna drive me to that dock. And I'm just gonna move it one at a time. Nice and easy, nice and slow. And you get to a point, Matt, where you got to get it in, right? You got to get at least a third of it in, otherwise you're in big trouble. Because otherwise it's just going to walk itself around the dock. Just slide it in. Now notice I'm 5 or 6 feet away from the dock. That's fine, because the wind's off a little bit. That's going to push me to the dock. Notice I'm coming to the dock. I'm coming to the dock. Still coming to the dock. Nice and nice. I haven't done a thing. So I've set it up. Look, I'm coming to the dock, still haven't done a thing. All right, one click, reverse. That brings my bow over, brings my stern out, and we are right back where we started.